Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Planet New Jersey, the official business podcast of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. I am your host for today, Randy Stevens, and alongside me, as always, is the guru of comms, Vinnie Civitillo. Vin, say hi to everybody.
Hi to everybody.
For those of you that don't watch on YouTube and miss Vin's imaginary boomerang, you guys are missing. I'm telling you that now.
This
But
was
today,
more of like a Macho Man Randy Savage kind of
hey,
like
I
finger
like it.
movement.
Yeah,
Oh
I like
yeah.
it. All right, we're back. And today we have a very special guest, man, and I think this show is going to be very, very fun. We have Miles from Skalli Events, and I'll say this: they are long-term members of the NJBIA. If you've ever been to an NJBIA event in the 3 years that I've been here, you've sure to see these guys working so professionally and well with us, hosting just about everything we do from audio and visual equipment. Miles, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for having me, Vinny and Randy. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. The pleasure's ours.
Thank you guys for being here today. I think this is going to be a fun show. Hey, and let's say this. Typically, we'd open up the show with an icebreaker, but today we have another first in Planet New Jersey's history where we have some live action animals literally adorning Miles as we're speaking for those that are watching YouTube. He has a couple birds sitting on his shoulders, pecking, and in pre-production, we talked about some other things some other animals he has around. So we'll kick it over to him. Again, he just said hi, just to tell us exactly who else are going to be the guests on our shows today. Miles, what are those? What particular type of birds do you have on your shoulders right now?
Yeah, these here are a couple cockatiels. I was asked to bring a couple of guests, and the team was a little predisposed, so there are stand-ins for today. Our silent supporters. These two
That's
are
on us. We didn't
cockatiels.
specify human guests.
That's right, which is what makes it like an exciting first. A couple of cockatiels. Probably the most one of the most timid, friendly species of birds that you can have as a pet. Most birds are partnered to a specific person or to another
Hmm.
bird. Cockatiels have the tendency to bond to many people, a whole household of people, very, very
Wow.
friendly, which makes them great domestic pets if you can handle all the other responsibilities that come with owning a bird. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. There are quite a few animals in this house, and you may see them coming through the frame. So
I was going to say,
bear with
when we
us.
first brought you into the Zoom, there was one bird, and now
That's
there's
right.
two. I was like, they're multiplying at an exponential rate here. By the time this is done, there's going to be an entire flock in the screen.
Listen, this
Yeah.
this is this is definitely giving us late night television vibes, right? Where they just start bringing out different animals for the guests. So I think this is going to be really cool. And listen, while we're here, I've got so in my house we've got just a dog, right? Been with us for a few years, and my son has got some reptiles, a leopard gecko and a
Ooh.
bearded dragon. Then any pets in the Civitillo household?
We have one dog. We previously had many fish. They've been diminishing, and as they've been diminishing, we haven't been replacing. And we
Hey,
just lost our last fish the other day.
oh,
Rest in peace to Fishy.
Oh,
Yeah, we actually. Well, I grew up with a cockatiel as well.
oh, that's
I
pretty cool.
We don't have it anymore. But it was my parents' bird.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
I've been to there's a pet store not far from us down here in Burlington County. Like some of the rarest birds from my understanding, and it's so loud. My wife and children, they're all,
Uh,
real Miles like and don't mind handling and all that. Me, I kind of just I'm the driver. I stay out of the way, man.
I was an objectively bad bird owner because that would freak me out to no end to have it like fly onto me, like yeah,
well,
like one of
I
those
will
kinds
admit,
of.
like having if anybody has the capacity to do it, having chickens is probably one of the most fulfilling pets I've ever had in my life. And I struggle to even call them pets. They are pets, but they're also part of the family, but they're also kind of like little employees, right? You keep them fed, you
Hey,
keep them happy, and they work for you. Chickens are fantastic for anybody who has a backyard large enough to support it. And is something really, nurturing about watching these things grow from little chicks that you have to keep warm into animals that just run around in the backyard and act as natural compost and great for the ecosystem. They're excellent like for composting kitchen scraps. If you feel really bad about throwing away your leftovers, those chickens will happily eat them. So they're awesome. So, all these animals, they have a purpose and it's great to kind of like, embrace that and try to bring things a little bit closer to home. Price of eggs, if everybody remembers,
hey,
got
yes,
pretty
yes, yes.
crazy,
To
but
show them that.
a week doesn't go by where my daughter doesn't ask for chicken. Like a
Oh,
week.
really?
Yeah, and I don't know how long I can keep saying no. Like, so me, I was like, why do you want a chicken? And she's like, well, we could have eggs whenever we want. I'm like, we could have eggs whenever we want now.
If
Like,
you're
go
willing to
out and
pay the
buy like a
cost.
dozen of them anytime we need it.
Well, listen, here's the problem when you've got friends on the show. As again, we've got Miles from Skalli Events, their official sponsor of today's show. So let's transition from
Sure.
our pet detective inquiries. And Miles, tell us a little bit about Skalli Events, man. How long have you guys been
Sure.
at the family business? To my understanding, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's right. It is a family business. It was started by my father in 1999. He was at the time freshly immigrated into the United States at a time in which this is pre-2001, 19 roommates,
Wow.
getting together, just trying to make a life for themselves here in the US.
That's
Just
unbelievable.
Yeah.
yeah, it's incredible what you can get away with, pre 2000s, right? Pre 2010s, right? Building codes and all that. But they got together. A few of these roommates decided to start a band as just a way to kind of get their names out there and establish themselves, celebrations that are going on, any weddings for the community, for the family. And this band had a member who was willing to do everything from singing to playing an instrument. What they didn't have was a technical guy, somebody who can handle the audio, the production that they had going on. And so my father stepped up and decided that he was going to find whatever he could do, a couple microphones from a flea market, a couple of
Wow.
JBL speakers from a garage sale, wherever you can throw things together to just make it work. And basically cut his teeth on starting out with these, individual performances from various, again, weddings, celebrations, birthday parties, etc., and grow from there. Anybody who's familiar with starting a business would understand that the first couple of years, first, handful of years can be pretty rough as you're establishing yourself, making a name for yourself, learning whatever you're going to learn. Nobody's ever 100% there in the beginning. And so, it was a process of growing, running multiple jobs, until the point where fast forward a few years as you expand and grow and build a team, which is incredibly important no matter what business field you're in, building out that team that supports you and fleshes out your services and your ability to do things. Fast forward to 2025, we're now behind a 15,000 square foot warehouse full
Wow.
of our own equipment, doing
Wow.
rentals and running multiple shows on a corporate level regularly. Month after month, there's anywhere between 5, 10, 15 shows running based on the season, based on, in fact, February, we're getting ready for a wind up to the busy season. Everybody is
Wow.
basically come back from the holiday seasons after January is a bit slow. And then, as seasonal things go, events start to come back and people want to report their quarterly earnings and people want to get together and host their galas and their fundraisers. So, yeah, it keeps you busy and it keeps you responsible, it keeps you active.
Do you know if the band ever went anywhere?
Hey.
Oh, yeah, the band did perform really well, but I think they kind of broke up and each of them kind of started doing their own musical thing.
That's how it goes.
As you do. Everything in life is temporary and
Well, I'm
you
glad if one of those things had to work out, it was your family business rather
oh,
than the band.
absolutely.
What
Absolutely.
What I think is cool too. I mean, I never would have guessed that this started from like a band, right? From your dad and some friends back then. But what's interesting is that usually folks are running to your point about the one man show, one man band. Folks are running to the mic or running to the instrument. But your dad was like, you know what? We need this kind of production, this side of it too. And one thing I've learned is that you don't realize how important AV is until you're at an event or somewhere where it's not done the right way. Like,
Correct. Correct. In fact, what you'll see a lot in most venues, most hotels that you might work at, there's a very select few number of AV providers that are recommended by the hotel or that are worked with by the hotel. They kind of have a monopoly, like a stranglehold on
wow.
the market, where if no matter what Marriott or what Hilton you go to or any of the other big name hotels, you're working with Encore, you're working with PSAV perhaps, and because of their absolute dominance in the market space, they're prone to overcharging. They're prone to paying union rates. They're prone to providing a high price for the rentals without having somebody who's there sit there to monitor the show with you and basically like a technician that you have to call from the service office to come down and help you out
Wow.
in a situation which you need help at a moment's notice. If something goes down, it's really difficult to sit there and twiddle your thumbs, waiting for somebody to show up from an office upstairs, compared to, when you work with a team directly and you partner with them and you bring them on your show and they're sitting down with you that can respond to things as they happen if anything happens at all, because, it's your face, it's your reputation. You got to be there. You got to help people out, and people enjoy working with their friends, and building that relationship with people, you know, takes takes you a long way. So we really do like to try and get to know our clients. We try to get to know the event. We care, and that's a very unique advantage to being a family company, just in general, of having that facial recognition, of having that individual care, individual experience, rather than working oftentimes with a faceless corporate. That, again, it's cookie cutter for them. For
Oh,
you,
yeah.
it's an important day. For them, it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned that there was a time we were at a venue, and I couldn't tell you what venue it was, and I probably shouldn't
Or he
based on what
could,
I'm
but he
about to
doesn't want to
say. Yeah,
say.
I probably shouldn't based on what I'm about to say. But we had to use like the venue's people. Like we weren't allowed to call Skalli. We actually usually call Skalli for most of our events when we can, but in this case we couldn't. And I remember we were setting up. We needed them to set up certain things, and we hit a time, and I can't remember what time it was, but like let's say like 10 a.m., like stroke of 10 a.m. They all left, and I was like, oh, where did everybody go? We need this, that, and the other thing set up, and they're like, oh, they're only allowed to work until 10 a.m. And I thought they were kidding. I laughed like right in their face. I was like, ah. And they're like, no, they'll be back in a couple hours. I was like, wait, the event starts in a couple hours. Like
Wow.
Skalli, they're there until like
Nice.
2, 3 in the morning sometimes setting stuff. They don't care. Like
Yeah, getting the job done is the most important
I
thing, right?
know.
The show
Yeah.
must go on.
Yeah.
I have nothing but the utmost respect for unions. I work with them all the time. A lot of my friends are union guys in this industry and beyond. I have a couple of horror stories of working with certain convention centers, again, which shall not be named,
Yeah.
but certain convention centers in which, yeah, people might have a special request. In our instance, we had a room that was women only. It was a event in which it was about infant care, and so they had a lot of mothers that needed, to breastfeed and such, and there was basically a women's only session, and we needed a female operator for this room. And this particular conference center allows us to run the show as producers, but we have to use their union labor. And requesting a female operator there required us, because unions operate on seniority oftentimes, where you have to hire the most senior person and then it goes down the list, and a couple of them work a little differently. But in this instance, for us to request a female operator who may not be that have that seniority as the next, say, 5 people up the ladder, you have to hire that next person on the rung to shadow the female operator. So you're hiring 2 people for the price of two, for the work of one, to sit in that female only room while the other person shadows them, is basically on call, but just kind of sitting there like he doesn't really have a role because he's just the next in the ladder. So there's a lot of things that happen like this that basically, my point here is, creates a lot of inefficiencies
Mm.
in the process of, just they have certain systems and there's not a lot of flexibility within those systems because those are the rules. Which, again, we follow the rules. In fact, I have my fire safety Squirtle in my background back there.
I
Very,
just
very
noticed. There
important.
you go.
Yeah. For those who are listening, it's a
Yeah, for those who
Squirtle.
cannot see this, Squirtle is actually holding a fire extinguisher.
Yeah,
It's
that's right.
adorable.
That's right. Rules are
Adorable
very
and
important.
life-saving all in the same breath. Yeah.
Absolutely, but we don't let ourselves, get tied down and suffocate ourselves with, certain things that can be mitigated quite easily, because, again, you're dealing with a human face now. You're dealing with an individual. You're dealing with, a person that has a relationship with you directly that wants to help you out. So just because, for example, you don't have lights on the invoice, if we have them and you need them and you find yourself in that, like, oh shit situation, excuse my French, we'll be more than happy to try to accommodate, as much as we can, because, again, it's about making the show work, highlighting it in its best possible light, and just as much as you're on the line for providing an experience for your attendees, for your guests. it's our reputation on the line too, to make sure that we, our portfolio, our work, we take pride in that, to make sure that it is highlighted in its best light. So in that, for that reason, like that's another huge benefit of working with individuals, with working with, local companies, working with family companies, working with, you know, yeah, individuals.
And Miles, quick question for you. So, I went to school out in Long Island. Undergrad was my bachelor's degree, and I remember, like, as a part of the program I was in, we had to do kind of like on-air personality stuff as well as behind-the-scenes technical side of things.
Right.
So, what do you think, like, as for a young person who had this interest, like, what's the balance like in terms of actually going to get book knowledge, hands-on experience versus being in the field or shadowing or walking around with you guys as you're doing what you do on a regular basis in terms of learning to be able to say, okay, this person's ready and they can go out and, host a show or, that sort of thing. Like, what's
Yeah,
that balance look like?
that's a very interesting question. And I have a lot of experience with this just because I did go to college, and a little fun fact, I dropped out on my last semester because of this balance between the college and the actual work itself. Because there is a lot of situations, especially with modern colleges, in which they will prioritize your attendance in the class as opposed to doing the actual work. My
Okay.
situation was that they did not, they were basically withholding a couple of credits because I was booking out work for in
Mm.
the same field as I was studying. I did theater production in college. And so they had me doing AV work in their theater, and I was paying them to do it. And whenever I would get my own gigs as a freelancer at the time, they wouldn't give me the leeway to go out and work those things. They would actually hold it against me as, part of the credits, and they're like, hold it against my grade as if I was just playing hooky. So yeah, like when it comes to work that's involving trades in general, I think this applies to trade work, period. Like, trade schools, there's is a massively underutilized educational resource and route that a lot of people are taking. A lot of people are focused on colleges, trade schools. You really should pay more attention to. Um, when it comes to trade-based work, you're going to learn more on the field than you're going to learn from a book. You can
Gotcha.
absolutely learn a lot in college about these things, as I did. But that education, that degree, isn't going to help you all that much if you're planning on getting into film, TV, into production work in general. People will more likely care about your portfolio and the kind of work that you
Gotcha.
do
Gotcha.
than they will actually about the degree of the school that you went to. That calculus changes a little bit once you start getting into like journalism. If you're interested in doing like TV anchoring or such, that math kind of starts to tilt a little bit more towards college degrees and such. But if you're planning on creating, don't let anything stop you from getting out there and creating, whether that's
Gotcha.
media, whether that's you want to become a plumber, whether you want to become any sort of artist or work in that sort of field. Yeah, you're better off just getting out there. Start as a PA, production assistant. Start as fight for your right, fight for your day rate. I'm not saying work for free as a PA, right? Because again, if I may, oftentimes they tell you to eat shit and smile, ask for seconds. Like it's really, really rough out there. But it's necessary to build that base of experience, to learn, pay attention to people. One of my mentors said something that stuck with me is that you're only as good as your next job,
Gotcha.
right? So getting out there and putting the ego aside and putting in work and learning by doing will get you a lot further than a lot of book studies will. But that doesn't mean don't study. But YouTube University is free, so.
So speaking of education and how you got in, how did you like? You said that this was a family business, and
Right.
usually when I think family business, I think the father started it, passed it on to the next generation, passed it on to the next generation. But you all
Willingly or
work
unwillingly.
together, yeah, simultaneously. So tell me a
Right.
little bit about that.
Yeah, so we work together simultaneously, just in that like we support each other. Everybody has their responsibilities, and nobody, like we were joking about the one man show earlier, nobody can do it all alone. And so there's a lot of like the Scally Senior, who has been doing all the band work and assembling the infrastructure and putting it all that together. He spent a good portion of his life doing that, right? 1999, it's 2025 now. Like quick maths, it's like 26 years, I want to say. Of just slapping this whole you know everything together. It's a lot of work. So he obviously has the right to pick where he wants to you know assign himself. And if you want a nice cozy desk job, that's great, you know, and we will support him in that. And then I myself do a lot of the field work where I'll go out to a lot of these events and set it up and run with the teams. So he'll basically build out the shows. He'll basically put together the orders, you know, make sure that, you know, everything, all the ducks are in a row, the invoices are built, and then I am the right hand that will go there and ensure that it's executed correctly.
Gotcha.
And you know, just from a managerial point of view, we have people that you know work with us on our team, people that have their specialties to make sure that you know we're giving the best service we can for our customers. But it's very similar to like you know kind of the assembly line or a sales funnel that you might be familiar with in other businesses. Of you know one office will pass it down to the next until you get to the actual service aspect of it, until you get to the actual uh, there's a term for it in business that's escaping my mind, where you're validating the business at the end of the sales funnel.
Gotcha.
I'm doing the actual production aspect of it, so the terminology may escape me, but that's part of the
So
How much
all
of your
trade
trade.
side,
family?
not the book smart side, right?
Sure. How
All,
much of your family is working together?
So we actually have I think four members. If you're talking about like directly Scallies, it's
Yeah.
myself, my brother, my father, my sister. And then you know as needed, and the reason why it's kind of a question is there are other members of our family in other states as well, not just New Jersey, that are you know running with this. In fact, my uncle
absolutely.
in Florida is running the same thing, him and his son. So my uncle and my cousin, do they count as part of the team? Sure. Sometimes we bring them over if we, you know, need extra help or have a show that we're being asked to execute in Florida. We'll tap that resource. My other uncle, who is in Morocco, overseas, and he does a lot of shows in Europe. You know, fashion shows and corporate events of their own over there as part of KS Events. So yeah, when we talk family, like it's beyond just the immediate family. This we're really trying to hit the market as much as we can.
And that was actually one of my
Wherever.
next questions. So you guys are not just limited to New Jersey, because I remember running in a Skalli at an event, and he was getting ready to travel, like to take the show on the road somewhere. Like, so how you guys obviously got Florida, Europe, you just mentioned. How far out in the states do you guys go for Scalli's events, even under different umbrellas?
Yeah, we cover basically the entire East Coast.
Wow.
The entire East Coast, you can expect to work with Scally events if that is what you're hoping to do. If you are somewhere out in California or somewhere in the Midwest, we do have partners as part of a network in which you know we work with them regularly where if there's an event out in Michigan, we have partners out there in Michigan who we vouch for, who we work with, who support us, and that will basically validate and like, yes, this is a person that we trust and we work with, and you can expect
Nice.
the same quality service. We partner with them in the way that like we ensure that we kind of standardize the same equipments, we update around the same times, so the same cameras, the same speakers, and make sure like you know like build it out so that it's I don't want to say formulaic, but like so that there's a certain standard operating procedure across,
I
you
like it.
know, the nation as needed.
I like it. And I mean, we're going to run out of time here in just a few moments, but I'm on the website and I see three kind of areas of production or services that you guys provide: live event production, hybrid or streaming production, and this is directly off the website, pre-recorded video production. Do
Correct.
you have a favorite that you know that you feel like, you know what, we really, really excel in the space? Obviously, you guys do all things well, over 20 years of experience, but is there a favorite section that you guys really say, you know what, we can put our stamp here, Scally Events for sure?
Yeah, I would honestly say the live events, in-person live events, galas, fundraisers, corporate events. Those are probably my favorite. Mostly because like I love meeting people. I tried having a desk job, especially over COVID, and it was driving me crazy. I love the mix of, you know, working with people like preparing for the event and then actually going and seeing it all happen. Um, yeah, it's also a creative opportunity to, you know, interesting visuals. Like NJBIA, actually, if you remember the energy conference we did together, which by the way I recommend everybody visit. Like it's amazing. The information is awesome. They bring some amazing guests, which is part of why I love it. I always get to meet interesting people. We get to do things like cutting out logos or figuring out new ways to like add branding to the event, little podium signs. I was really excited, and the reason I mentioned the energy conference is that we did this big, plywood cutout of the NJBIA's logo as part of the
Yes, I
backdrop,
remember that.
and then a 3D printed podium sign. So like figuring out new manufacturing methods, figuring out new ways to kind of brand things, new ways to get banners, new designs for this sort of thing. That really gets, that really gets me going. So that would be my favorite.
How long did
Well,
the podium sign take to 3D print?
Not too long
Oh
actually.
wow.
We just got a like manufacturing size like three
Oh,
foot
okay.
bed 3D printer. And so that's the new thing right now that we're playing with, and I'm very excited about. But it's always fun when you get to like fire up the laser cutter and cut out some logos and really get something creative going, manufacturing, building things out. Yeah,
Very cool.
then
adds a
then
little bit of
anything else
novelty.
before I throw it to Miles for a last word here?
I actually want to know what the bird's name is.
No, his name is Goose. She's
Goose.
Goose. She's kind of new, so I'm still taking recommendations for names. I've been workshopping Sir Tweets a lot, but
Sir tweets a lot. I love it.
yeah, my wife is not sold on that one.
Growing up, when we got our bird, it came pre-made, like pre gave to us with the name Oscar, and my parents were like, "We don't like that name at all. The bird's name is Bird, and
The
that's
bird's
what
name is Bird.
the bird's
That's the
name is
beautiful
Bird,
thing.
and that's all it was for the rest of our lives." Yeah,
They don't care about what their
I
name
guess.
is. That's the beautiful thing is that before we settled on Goose, we had like four or five other names, and it was changing every week. And the amazing thing is that they'll never know.
Yeah.
They'll never have any idea.
Well,
Like my cat.
listen,
My
guys,
cat.
we're nearing the end of our time here, but I
Sure.
mean, this has been a pleasure. Again, like you said, it's always fun when we can do these things with friends. So Miles, just before we go, we appreciate the background of what you told us about Scally Events, your reach, and what you guys are up to with your immediate family and family abroad. And just before we sign off, man, we'd like to turn it over to you for kind of a last word. How could folks reach you? What areas you guys looking to maybe grow in and expand some relationships in going into the new year? But the floor is yours for the last 2 minutes or so, just to kind of fill those gaps in for us and for our new audience who needs audio visual assistance and to the level and the scale that you guys do.
Sure. Thank you, Randy. Everybody is welcome to check us out. Our website is scallyevents.com. That's SKALLIEVENTS, scallyevents.com. You can contact us by phone or by email. Is Scally at scallyevents.com is a great place to start. Or if you prefer to, get us on the phone, the number is 646-772-7428. Again, 646-772-7428. That's a great place to get in contact with us, either by phone, by email. Check us out online. We're always looking to work with, any sized events. We work within your budget. We'll always provide more value than what you might expect or what you might get from a competing source. So always looking to bid on new projects. Yeah, and if you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out to us, and we're happy to help.
I greatly appreciate that, man. This has been fun. I mean, from all the folks here at Planet New Jersey, which in large part is myself and Vin,
Yeah,
uh,
all the folks.
a big shout out to our sponsor of the day's show, Scally Events. And Miles, you've been a great show, and our new friends, the birds that have been chirping around your shoulder. So, till next time, guys, we'll see you. We're signing off.
Thank you so much, everybody.